Many point towards this government being called a hybrid model, which is like a quasi martial law, and that's what some of the political pundits are dubbing it to be. But Ali, do you really feel, I mean, to quote many of the senior politicians, including Saad Rafiq, a senior member of PMLN, he believes that this is perhaps the democratic process, the democratic setup has, and people will lose all confidence if they don't deliver. Do you really feel that they're in that dire spot?
I think that his concern is right, but the action of those senior leaders you are quoting are entirely different. So when you talk about the democratic process, then you include all the political parties, you include the choice of the people, you let them to vote their right, you let them to select what they want to have. But what's happening on the ground is massive pre-poll rigging. And any credibility if the election day would have that already has been lost. So how can you see this when the people, many people on street want to vote for a certain party and they don't know what candidate they're going to vote. They see how things are happening in the past few months and how the whole system is supporting one party. So how can on earth that party which being supported by the whole system have the audacity to say that we are running towards a democratic.
No, but a very interesting
observation.
You're absolutely right to point that out. Another very interesting point is that Bilawal Bhutto Zardari is promising the civil servant, the people who are public servants, double the wages. Bilal, we know that we have a number of sick entities that the whole parliament agrees needs to be privatized. So here we have two very differing opinions, double the salary and double the pensions, and on the other hand they say the only solution we have is privatize them, make them more efficient. They can't go hand in hand.
No, they obviously can't. And see, this is where I fail to understand the contradictions in their policies. I mean, they're trying to generate more taxes, but at the same time they're trying to increase their own allocation for government employees. Pension reforms were already something that had been going on and were in the pipeline, needed to be done. Now I don't see them happening anymore.
The outgoing Prime Minister also offered and actually has promised plots and real estate assets to the people from media, again giving them some kind of a social cover, some social security. Ali, coming to the real estate, we seems to be, having this only one sector buzzing, and that's not really a very healthy sign. A number of people who had big plots, were previously big manufacturing plants and units, don't see the profit in continuing them. So what they've done is they've turned them into housing society. There seems to be this artificial bubble. The buyer is still missing. Again, if I look at a dated article back, I think it's almost a decade old, but they say all housing society, all real estate in Pakistan is targeted to only the top 10%, 11% of the people. It's again an elite capture. So where's the housing for the common man, the middleman, the middle income group?
The houses have become dearer for the middle income group, and even in the last government, the PTI, they promised to give like something
10 million.
like 5 million houses and something like that. But what happened in the prices have moved up so much of the real estate, and then in the last inflation cycle that the construction prices have moved up so much that it become dearer for a common man to have a house. Let me give you an example. If a middle income person earning about 500,000 rupees a month, and that's I'm talking about the reasonable middle income. That's and if you spend 33% of in the housing mortgage, that would give you about 200,000 or something spending on the housing there. On this, he cannot even afford a small 2-room servant quarter kind of house at this today's price. So there is so much a divergence between what the reality and what the promises are. So housing is going to be affordable to those who get something from their legacy, from their parents and all that, or someone going abroad and earning and getting back to the money, or someone into the business and the business is going. For the job market people, getting into a new house with this current economic situation,
they've actually dreamed goodbye as well. Not a lot of people in Pakistan are actually hoping to or wanting to. It seems like a very far-fetched desire, not really something that they are actively moving towards. But let's come down to concrete promises. We are less than 24 hours away from the general elections. Bilal, Roti, Kapra or Makan used to be the Pakistan People's Party's promise. Very populist, talking to the common man, talking about the basics. I mean, if you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's the bottom of the pyramid. What's the new promise? What is Bilawal promising the people?
I don't think
Economically.
I don't think the promise has evolved that much in the 5-6 decades that we are now into 2023. I think the promises are still the same. Same housing, same inflation, same wheat, atta examples that he's still giving. Yes, he has said one thing that I actually am looking forward to if he's thinking about moving subsidies away from the industries back to allocation of his the program that he wants to finance. He said that yesterday.
And would that be a bold and a smart move?
I don't know about smart. It will definitely be bold. So I really want to see if he lives up to it.
Absolutely. Ali, so do you think is PMLN's biggest promise? He's trying to make us nostalgic. He's trying to remind us of the prices that were there in his term of 2013. But the world has really moved ahead 11 years and Pakistan is not the same Pakistan. What is PMLN's biggest promise to people of Pakistan?
So yes, the biggest difference between PPP and PMLN is still on the social side. They talk about education, health, apart from what Bilal talked about, which said about. PMLN is more on the development side.
Okay.
So they talk about development, they talk about the motorways, they talk about the airports, they talk about the power projects and everything. So that's what they've done in the 90s, they've done in 2013 and 16, and they're consistently talking about that. The problem is this, how we develop those. We take loans from Asian Development Bank, World Bank, other institutions, and we deploy these to build motorways.
Ali and Bilal, thank you so much. I wish I had more time to deep dive and unpack it further. But the problem remains that when we look at these promises, they seem to be a lot of rhetoric and they are not really backed up by concrete plans. On the other hand, the third contestant in the run, PTI, unfortunately or fortunately, the entire Pakistani political verbatim is still revolving around the founder and chairperson of PTI. But let's see what tomorrow brings for us. This is it from our desk. We'll move on to another show. We'll be back and the special transmission for election 2024 will continue. So stay with us and keep watching Aaj Pakistan.